Good morning and welcome to Madeira. My name's Caroline and I'm going to be travelling around this gorgeous island with my other half Andy for the next couple of weeks. This morning we've walked uphill with all of our luggage to a car rental, but we have picked up this car that's going to see us through for the next 10 days. This morning we're going to be heading to the Nuns Valley. The next stop will be the Cabo Girao, which is a stunning viewpoint. It's got a glass walkway. And then as we make our way to our next accommodation, we're going to be taking a road that goes past a waterfall that comes off a cliff onto a road that cars drive on. When planning this trip, we read a lot about how tricky driving in Madeira can be with its sharp hills. We were eased into it with the straight and level VR1 made possible by the tunnels, but it wasn't long until we turned off and had to navigate the steep streets. We'd heard differing views about the width of the roads, but we found this not to be too dissimilar to the roads in the UK, but still a little unnerving when you're on what feels like the wrong side of the road and you're navigating a parked car and there is a bus coming right at you. As we gained in height into the mountains, the views opened up and the alliums growing at the roadside were beautiful. Instead of going into the actual Nuns Valley itself, we've come up to a viewpoint. It's got a really well maintained stairwell with banisters for safety on one side, and you've got spectacular views over the valley. I had wondered as we were driving up, because looking up you could see an awful lot of clouds, if we were going to have a real letdown of a view, but whilst we're above the cloud line looking out to the coast into the Nuns Valley itself, it's a spectacular view down. Yesterday when we were doing our walking tour, we learnt that the nuns from the Santa Clara convent back in the 1500s sought refuge here when French pirates invaded the city, and that's where the name comes from. Looking down, you can see the old road that would take people from this viewpoint down into the village itself. But I understand that back when Portugal joined the EU, that there was an awful lot of funding and a lot of that went into tunnels. We could see that there was a tunnel to go straight through into the village, and the road down into the village, the old one, looks in a severe state of disrepair. Next up is Cabo Girao, and I did think that the Nuns Valley was a little bit on the touristy side with some shops like selling a lot of the touristy tat, but here seems to be a whole step up again. We seem to have had to park in like the bus parking spaces, but it seems like loads of other cars have and there aren't any buses. So we'll go and check out and see if this is actually worth the hype. Well, this proved to be something of an anticlimax. The whole thing is just shrouded in cloud. We do have some blue sky just inland, like a matter of meters inland. So it's lunchtime. We packed up some sandwiches this morning, so we'll stop, eat some lunch and see if it clears, because right now all I can see is just a thick cloud. We did wait around and the clouds did start to shift, but only on either side, and it just seemed like the wind was pushing in all of the thick cloud off of the water. So we're going to hop back in the car and keep on going. I think the next stop is going to be the waterfall.
Third stop, it's our third stop, right?
Yeah.
Come to a waterfall. I don't know the name of the waterfall, but you could either drive under it, walk under it, or, I don't know, roly-poly under it, if you want to.
seen a constant stream of either people going out and posing by the waterfall or mostly tourists driving through it. The odd local has come past, but they've driven around the waterfall, interestingly. But for the most part, everyone's there with like their phones filming it as they're going through. Given how warm and humid the weather is today, it's actually very refreshing just going and standing on the very edge of it. You do get quite a bit wet, but I'm not going right under just because I don't have the swimmers on. If you are visiting this waterfall, a top tip would just be really careful on your feet. The side of the road that's closest to the sea is incredibly slippery because there's an awful lot of algae that's grown on it, and this one guy just absolutely stacked it. So my recommendation would be, if you're going to wander around the waterfall, go right up and hug the edge of the cliffs that the waterfall's coming off of, because it didn't seem to be quite so algae ridden and slippery on that side. The adventures for today had been going really well, and after we left the waterfall, things have started to fall apart just a little bit. We took a wrong turn at a roundabout that took us down a tunnel that felt never endless before we were able to then turn around at a roundabout at the other end and drive all the way back. We've then come to the town that we're going to be staying in for the next few nights, and we took a road that was incredibly narrow, incredibly steep, to the point whereby the car just ended up stalling. Got to our accommodation, but our host doesn't appear to be there, and then they messaged us saying, actually, could you come up to this other town to the church? And we've got up here, but it's now just hit radio silence and our host is nowhere to be seen. Pretty much as soon as I hit stop on the record, I heard my name being yelled across the plaza, so we're just following the lady at the moment so that she can show us exactly where we can get the car parked up. We just got checked into our rather cute apartment, and it's got this gorgeous rooftop terrace which has got an amazing view out over the valley, and there's a lovely table for maybe some al fresco breakfasts or dinners. On this side of the terrace there are a couple of sun lounges, and then underneath the roof, weirdly, in my opinion, they've provided us with a washing machine. So these are always inside in the UK, usually in people's kitchens, which I know for people who are from the US, they find that to be very odd. This one's outside, I guess it works. And then the door inside is just here, so if you follow me on through, this then leads us into the living room. So you've got an L-shaped 3-person/4-person sofa, pointing at a little TV, which we never tend to use when we're away on holiday. We've also got Wi-Fi, which is really important just to be able to like plan things out. Our window here, which has got equally stunning views out onto the water. We've got an indoor table, I guess, for in the evenings if things get a little bit chilly. I know we're here in their summer season, certainly in like their December, January, February, I understand that it can be a lot cooler, so it's quite nice that they've got this in here. They've got this pine-clad ceiling, and I always thought that if I didn't live in a city, I would love something like this in my home. It just wouldn't quite work in London. And then off of this living room, we have then got a little corridor that leads off to a whole load of different things. So if I go into this doorway first, I'd like to think of this one as being like the guest bedroom, because the bed is a lot smaller than in the other one, so we probably won't end up using this. They've got wardrobes, which again, I'm loving how like retro the wood is, and it's like that shiny lacquer on it. And a couple of bedside tables, so it's quite nice that even though it's a secondary bedroom, you can still get out on both sides if you weren't to have the cot in there. Next door to this guest bedroom is then the bathroom, which in my opinion is really, really big. And you've got quite a sizable shower, toilet, bidet, interestingly, a sink, got a laundry basket that provided us with things like hair dryers and what have you. It does everything that you need it to. And then at the other end of this corridor, we've then got the kitchen, which is more through like an archway rather than a doorway. And in the kitchen, you've got your freezer and your fridge. I really like the fact that it's got a full oven with a stovetop so that we can buy things like frozen pizzas and just bung them in the oven if we want to. Because the last place that we were at, which was like a backpackers hostel with a communal kitchen, they only had a 2-ring stovetop and there was no way to be able to put things in the oven. And then the last room, which I'm classing as being like the master bedroom, just because the bed is a little bit bigger on this bedroom. You've got, once again, amazing views out over the valley and a much bigger bed. Again, great how you've got both sides that you can get out of, and you've got a cute chest of drawers and a chair. So we're really happy with this place. For once, I've actually shown it before we've completely destroyed it and we've let our bags just explode all over the place. But I think now, before we end up getting super hungry, we're going to head up the hill to the supermarket so that we can start to make some meals for ourselves and pack up some packed lunches for hikes over the next few days.